Well, looky, what do we have on the channel today? It is Hot Wheels Blue Card Era Cars, 1990 through 1995. This is episode 8. We are covering cars number 70. That's that Chevy Stocker Aerocoupe. And we're going to finish off with number 76, which is a Kenworth truck. The last video, episode 7, finished off with the Ferrari F40. And that was number 69 in the Blue Card series. Since that video, I've found 2 more Ferraris to show you guys, just one in its standard Blue Card packaging, and this interesting example, number 269, Oshkosh cement mixer, it says, but this is a known variation. Interesting, it didn't come out actually till later in the Blue Card series. It's probably a rare one. I'm not going to open that one up, and as you can see, it's in really nice shape. But the much more common version would have been just this ultra hot version. We're going to start out with, as I said, the 1986 Chevy Monte Carlo Aerocoupe. This car was actually first released in 1989. Of course, it would have not been on a Blue Card packaging such as this one, which was purchased at Zeller's, a Canadian store, a long time ago for $1. And as you can see, the packaging on this one is roasted, so that one's going to be a rip and tear right off the bat. So the one we opened up is actually a fairly common Monte Carlo. This was a popular casting, as you can well imagine. Growing up with these cars, pretty much any young man would want one of these in his collection of Hot Wheels, I can tell you. And it did come in some race sets, some package race sets, as well as these Blue Card individual packages. The rarest version I have is this one here. I don't think I opened this one. I did buy it loose, but checking the rivets, I can tell that it is an authentic version of this car. And I've seen others with this small back wheel. You can tell the back wheel is too small for the fender openings. These cars typically featured the larger back wheel on the back, obviously on the back if it's the back wheel, and a small one on the front wheel. This is the all small wheel version. So that one's quite rare, I would say. It's not the best looking car, and it doesn't roll very good because it does drag on those axle protector things, whatever they are. And but anyways, that's for the biggest variation enthusiast out there, I would say. Really not much point in spending too much more, other than for these 2 variations here. You've got the Union Tampo and Valvoline Tampo on the side under Goodyear, whereas on this version you can tell strangely omitted. I guess someone didn't pay their bill to Mattel back in 1990 or so. So that was removed, and that is a known variation. This car usually isn't found with all the tampos unless on the 1989 packaging. So realistically, opened up, these cars aren't really worth more than about $10 to $15 each. They are quite common, as I said. I still have one on a nice piece of cardboard. That one's going to stay in the packaging, of course. Moving on to number 71 is the Ambulance, the Wambulance, and I do have one of those still on its card art packaging, if you will. Pretty good shape. It's got the speed points up in the top left, a front wheel burning out tractor on the artwork. Makes no sense whatsoever. And as you can see, the copyright on the back, some interesting mail-away crap, I guess, if you were into that sort of thing. 71, so that was released in 1989 as well, with the black wall wheels. I have a loose variation here for my wall. Has the opening doors. Remember as a kid jamming all sorts of stuff in the back there. Cargo van, if you will. This one came out in 7 variations over the Blue Card period, which ranges from 1990 to 1995. Black wall, of course. Much later on, probably towards 95, you're going to find a 7-spoke. Well, those 7 spokes did come out in 93. This one probably closer to 95 with the Snowblade wheels. And then there was the variations, still under the same collector number 71. These would all be the faded Blue Card cars. So later release, 5-spoke. It's got the yellow doors on the back. And we've got the 3-spoke, the 5-dot, can see there's a difference there in the wheels, of course, between 5-dot and 5-spoke. From afar, they kind of look the same. And 7-spoke. So 7-spoke was carried over. That's pretty much the only wheel that was carried over for these ones. I'm almost positive I've seen one of these with 5 spokes, but for some reason I don't have it in this collection, so I must be mistaken. I haven't found any record of it anywhere else. So those castings are not worth that much. They're just ambulances. Number 73 was the Street Roader. And that was this awesome truck, based on a Suzuki Samurai from the mid to late 1980s. 4x4. These are very small vehicles in reality. So the scale is way, way, way off here. As you can see, we've got about a 1/50th scale Samurai and maybe a 1/90th scale ambulance. Good old Hot Wheel toys, staying true to the nature of the size of the item. And this is one of the nicer looking paint jobs on the on this vehicle, the Street Roader. Such an odd name, really. Street Roader. There also was a Street Rodder, so that kind of gets me confused. But all metal casting, and these little front bumpers are prone to being broken. They're not really on there with much plastic. As you can see, this one's pushed in a little bit, I think. So you want to be careful when you're playing with these, rolling them around. They don't bump into each other on the front corners. Liable to lose that bumper piece pretty easily, and often missing on used played with examples. The CTS, that's this one, the CTS wheel, construction tire, versus the CT. Construction tire with spokes, I guess it means, or studs, something like that, CTS. There's all these acronyms from way back that collectors used when they were collecting these. Nowadays, of course, there's so many different wheel variations. You'd have to really have an elephant brain to remember them all going up to current date. These were the ones that were worth a bit more. They're a bit harder to find with these wheels on it than these wheels, the CT wheels. Realistically, $15 to $20, I would say. Let's pan out a smidge here as we go to the next vehicle. That is the GT Racer, collector number 74. There's no collector number on this particular packaging as it's a Canadian release. Purchased at Zellers. Packaging is not in great shape, but I have lots of these cars already to show you. This was first released in 1989, and with ultra hot wheels in dark purple or metallic blue. Same kind of tampos. But we're not talking about 1989, of course. We're talking about the blue card era into 1990 and onwards. Different paint used, as you can see. Lighter blue in the tampo, and a lighter purple overall. Otherwise, same cars. Blackwall was released for the blue card era, as was the return of the Ultra Hot. And again, you can see the paint difference quite clearly on those cars. So the 1989 versions are probably worth a bit more than the 1990 versions and so forth. There is also a variation out there that has no Valvoline. Yeah, there we go. Valvoline versus no Valvoline is another important thing. So they really must have had a problem with Valvoline at some point in the early 90s. Seems to be one of those here or there type tampos on some of the cars that did originally feature it in 89. So you can see it's missing there. Possibly there would be some on the lighter purple versions as well in a carry forward. I would imagine those would be somewhat rare, as I do not have one. 75 Pontiac Banshee. I have lots of those. And have I got a story for you on these ones? I'm going to pull out the most expensive Banshee here. Just so I can find, there it is, the GUH Gold Ultra Hot version of the Banshee. What is the Banshee? This is a General Motors concept car for their Pontiac division. I think it was created in 1989. It was actually featured at the Detroit Motor or Auto Show around that time. Pretty cool car. Was, I think, supposed to be a replacement for the Pontiac Grand Am or Sunfire, something like that. Didn't obviously happen. What a nice Hot Wheel, though. This is a nice rolling car. They have suspension, one of the few Hot Wheels to have suspension. No suspension on this car. But the Banshee retained its suspension. And a very smooth sounding car that rolls much like a gold gold Hot One wheel. If you remember those from previous videos, we talked about those cars. Here's the regular common version with the chrome ultra hot wheels on it. So really not worth probably more than a couple dollars in most cases. The gold ultra hot version is one that I picked up somewhere a long time ago, eBay auction. And I actually ended up opening this one without realizing how much it was worth. These are, when they do come up, the sellers often ask hundreds of dollars for them. I don't know that they're worth that much, but they are rare. What else have we got here? We've got a 7-spoke. There's some more variations to speak of in just a moment here, but let's get them all out. We've got the 5-spoke. 5-spoke and 7-spoke. Kind of harder to find compared to the ultra hot version. Here they are on some nice card art. Just so you can check that out. And here is an original ultra hot on its artwork as well. So we've got one of each of those. This is an interesting international release, most likely Canadian. Faded blue card artwork, no collector number. Black wall wheels. Haven't seen this car with black wall wheels anywhere ever, and so I expect this is going to be a rare one. You see it's multiple languages. 1994 is the copyright. Very cool car. So I don't think I spent more than $5 or $10 for this when I bought it. Really nice card art. That one's not getting opened up, unlike the gold ultra hot. So a range in values really, but as you can see, lots of Pontiac Banshees. Well, 3 of those are the same. 5 here, and of course there was another version, if you're looking at, from 1989 that has Pontiac cast on the back, but all the 1990 versions are smooth. What you will see, of course, is a difference in the plastic color on the roof bit. There's a plastic center window support, I guess, there. Dark red on the earlier versions. On the faded blue card artwork cars, it's often bright red, but in fact on this international one, it's dark red. So really no rhyme or reason. Definitely there's notable variations in the reds. Maybe possibly even between the cars I have open and not open. No, it doesn't look like it. Anyways, we've got one more vehicle for this show. Did I miss one? No, yeah, I did. I missed the school bus. Let's look at that school bus. We've got 2 more vehicles for the show. Collector number 72, the school bus. Also, the bus, prisoner transport, really, it should say, but it doesn't. And the faded card. This is a re-release of a 1989 bus, which may or may not have had lemon yellow paint. Got a yellow paint variation here. Very typical on older Hot Wheels. Also, we've got the thick tampo versus the thin tampo variation. And these are from my 1989 section of my collection. But I did pull them out just to show that the identical vehicle has been released again in the blue card era. The most collectible of these would be this bus without the window bars in it. That's worth probably around $30, I guess, according to some reports. I haven't seen one. I don't know if they'd still be worth that much. Probably gone down a bit in value. Bus and school bus. Wow. All right, the last vehicle we're looking at is the Kenworth Big Rig. Oh, and that one was first released in 1989 in this paint job. I think it all actually, the first release. In 1989 with the Blackwell, there was some of these with the orange and red switched. So the rare version would have the orange on top and the red in the middle above the blue tampo. Mine looks like it needs a little bit of a dusting. Kind of a simplistic casting, but pretty cool nonetheless. So released again in the blue card era, also with 7-spoke and snowblade versions of the wheels. They're, or is that tri-blade? I don't know what the snowblade, tri-blade. One of those definitions for these weird looking wheels that they don't use really anymore, I don't think. And not worth a whole lot of money on these. Maybe $5, $10 in the packaging. But that's this segment of the blue card era vehicles. Lots more of these episodes coming. We're going to get through all these cars and continue right on up to present day, believe it or not. Might be an old man by then, I know. Happy hunting.